Well, good evening, everyone. Guess what day of the week it is? Tuesday, and it's time.
Tuesday.
And it's time for Women with Grit, where we interview exceptional and amazing women who are just setting the trail ablaze when it comes to doing phenomenal things in life, in their industry, and around the world. And we are so excited because we have another amazing guest who is gracing the stage, and you all will have an opportunity to meet her shortly, Miss Joy Sutton, and you all are in for a treat tonight. How are you, Lee?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a beautiful day out today.
I see.
I tell you what, it was a kind of low key day. Got some work done, and just happy to be here. Man, it's looking forward to this great weather the rest of the year.
I know, right? I mean, the start of the year was a bit bumpy, but looking forward to the rest, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, any golf today?
No golf. I thought about it. I was really close. Really close, at least going to the driving range. And then I got a phone call. So and that took over an hour. So I took up all my driving range time. I got a chance to start watering the grass and some stuff, just some plants that we just had put down. But yeah, so maybe golf tomorrow or Thursday. I'm not gonna play. I don't see myself playing 9 or 18 this week, but at least get to the driving range.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Good deal. Are you excited about our guest tonight?
I am. I tell you, and those of you that graduated from Howard University, I know you're going to be excited as well. She's one of yours, and then those of us that went to HBCUs, we're proud of her regardless of which one she chose. I'll let the conflict be between those that graduate from Hampton and those that graduate from Howard. Which one is the real HU?
There it is.
I know which one Joy is going to say.
I am staying out of it. I definitely am staying out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So super excited. Let me go ahead and thank our sponsors, and then we can bring up our amazing guests and let the rivalry begin. Go ahead, if you're joining in, feel free to like and share our page. Also, drop your name and what city or state you are joining in from, because we want to hear from you. We love the engagement. We love the feedback. And then also, if you have any questions as we go throughout the night, to feel free to leave them in the chat function. So we would love to thank Lisa at MJC Insurance, where she will shop over 30 companies to get you the right homeowners, auto, as well as workers' comp. And she can be reached at 615-873-1988 or Lisa at mjcins.com. We have Lauren at Moulette Investment Services for all of your benefit planning needs, 401k, disability, medical, as well as dental. And she can be reached at 615-627-0968 or Lauren at MouletteInvestmentServices.com. We also have Mr. Terrell Perry. And Terrell Perry can be reached at Terrell at MouletteInvestmentServices.com or 615-627-0968 for all of your wealth planning, life insurance, as well as long-term care. And of course, vision strategy management, where we just believe in making execution easy. Plainly put. All right. So here, without further ado, I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to bring up our amazing guest, Miss Joy Sutton. So Joy Sutton is an entrepreneur, talk show host, and media coach with a mission to help more women own their own shine. Through her podcast, as well as her coaching services, she has more than 20 years of combined experience in media, marketing, and corporate communications. Joy's days of entertaining started as far back as she can remember with a theatrical performance at New York's famed Apollo Theater. I wonder if anyone remembers the Apollo Theater. Her path to success would eventually lead her to a career in journalism. Some of the highlights of her career include package producing for Entertainment Tonight and Hard Copy, covering the impeachment hearings of President Bill Clinton, and serving as anchor and health reporter for CBS affiliate in Virginia for more than a decade. After leaving the news business, she transitioned into corporate communications, where she spent the past 10 years of her career working in marketing and public relations for two leading healthcare companies. without further ado, I would love to bring to the stage Joy Sutton. And before I do, her tagline is, "The world needs more women who believe in the power of their dreams, relentlessly fight for what they believe in, and stand firm in who they are and their purpose." So Miss Joy Sutton. Hey, Joy.
Hey, Joy. How are you?
Thank you? Well, Lee, first of all, let me say we already know the real HU. That is Howard University. We don't even need to talk about that. So I just wanted to clear that up for anyone who has any questions about that. The real HU is
first and foremost.
You know, and we see that because we have a vice president from Howard University. So it is truly the real HU. Just had to throw that in there.
Okay. All right. We'll put that up.
Any rivalries, be sure to state your claims in the chat function. Get it going.
You'll lose.
So welcome, Joy.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here tonight. And I love what you are doing to raise awareness about the women out there who are doing the thing. And I just love that you're creating a platform for women to be able to share their stories, their experiences, and to be able to inspire other women, because that's something that I'm really about, is inspiring other women to pursue their goals, their dreams, and to live with grit.
Love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So kick us off. Tell us a little bit about your unique story of grit.
Well, there are so many stories of grit, but one that I really want to share with you all and with your audience tonight is when I first had this passion to do television, I ended up creating my own television talk show from the ground up. I mean, I started it. I just had this idea. You know, I think everybody or most people in the industry had this desire to be like Oprah. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to try to do that myself. So I literally started my own talk show from the ground up, was able to get a licensing agreement with a CBS station, was at the height of that. I even had an audience. I had a studio audience. Y'all came out. It was like, whoop, whoop, Joy Sutton's in the house. So It was a fun time. We were doing it. And I had made it. Like, I had been living my dream. I was at the height of my dream. And then tragedy struck. I was at a station where on the air, 2 of my colleagues were murdered on live television.
Oh, wow.
It made national news.
Wow.
In the midst of that, while dealing with the loss of 2 people from a coworker who brutally murdered them live on television, experiencing that, and then at the same time, the station that I was at, they ended up getting sold. So here I was at the height of what I had been dreaming about. You know, the thing that keeps you up at night. I had been dreaming about it. And then a murder, change, everything crumbled around me, everything. And in that moment is when I made the decision to move to Nashville. I said, okay, I've got to regroup. I can do this. I can get back in there. And I came to Nashville and hit barrier after barrier after barrier after barrier, and doors weren't opening. And so I stayed stuck for 4 years. For 4 years, I didn't do anything. I felt like so much had happened. And I think I was probably grieving the loss of my colleagues, grieving the loss of my show, all of that. And there came a point where I had to look at myself in the mirror. And it really happened during COVID. And I think COVID is a wake-up call for so many people. But in the midst of COVID, I'm sitting there and I'm like, Joy, God gave you a gift. You were meant to do this. Get back up. Get back up. And in the midst of that, I started my show again. And I was used to having it as a TV show, but I said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to launch it as a podcast because it's not about the vehicle. It's about the message. And so my story of perseverance and grit is really when you find yourself down, when you find yourself out, when you think all hope is gone, it's when you have to dig inside of yourself, find that purpose and say, I'm going to move forward. And so that is what I really want the women or the men or anybody who's listening to this tonight. I don't care if it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If there's a dream in your heart, if there's something that you've been believing for, it's never too late. It's about grit. It's about getting back up. It's about perseverance and knowing that you can do it. And my story is a testament to that.
Wow.
I know it's a lot. I mean, just to go through it myself was traumatic. So, but I believe in everything when something happens that, those lessons, the things that we experience, we're not meant to stay down. We're meant to get back up. And I believe that is what grit is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I can't imagine seeing coworkers murdered right in front of me at work, nonetheless. And then, you think that you have to go back to work, soon after. And then all the other things that occur around that. That's truly a story of grit.
It could keep you. And I was so amazed at so many people at the station. One of the main anchors who was dating one of the girls, Allison, who was murdered, he went on to take that experience and become a state representative. So people use that as a catalyst to keep going. And for me, it took a while because it was just a lot with everything that happened, and then losing my show. And then me and my business partner had a falling out. It was like boom, 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 boom. Murder, station gets spot. You and me and my business partner ended our agreement. And then I found myself in this place where I was stuck, and I stopped believing that it was possible for me. And then that's when that grit kind of just, come on, girl. God has given you too much to sit on the sidelines, and somebody is waiting on you to be a blessing to them. And it's bigger than me. And that's why you have to tap into that grit.
That is such a key statement. I firmly believe that God puts us here to bless others, and for you, while you're digging down deep, to really be able to figure out that, hey, this is much bigger than myself. I think it's important. I think, I know for me, it's dug me out of some deep, dark places as well, just to say, you know what, this isn't me, and it's not even about me. God just has something else for me, and he's not happy right now.
Yeah. And you know what, Lee, to that point, I always say that, God only entrusts challenging circumstances and situations to people he has equipped with the ability to grow through it. Amen. So if you've been entrusted with it, then it's because you have the propensity, the grit, the relentlessness to actually come out on the other side. So that's exciting to even see. And even with what you're doing, Joy.
Yeah. Because sometimes I find so many times in life we get knocked down. It's part of life. But the difference between those who make it, I often find, and those who don't and never get to the level of their dreams is because when they get knocked down the first time, they get back up. They get knocked down the second time, they get back up. But they have trouble when it happens more than once or twice. And so I think my story is one of, if you get knocked down, no matter how long it takes you, keep believing that there's something great on the inside of you, and it's your gift to the world. And when I think of it as a gift, I mean, when I started back doing my show, even though it was a podcast, I was so excited. I mean, I was calling people. I said, I'm meeting these amazing women. I'm telling these amazing stories. And it just reminded me of the joy and the gift that I was supposed to be bringing the world. I guess that's why my mama named me Joy.
Right.
Let's claim it. Joy to the world.
Joy to the world. So kind of speaking of mom, tell us about where you're from and who you are, Joy. We know you as this media mogul and everything, but who are you? Who is Joy Sutton?
I'm just a little girl. No, I'm kidding. I'm just a girl from Minnesota. I grew up in
Minnesota.
A suburb of Minnesota. And yes, there are Black people in Minnesota. People go, wait, there are Black people. I mean, yes, there are a lot of Black people in Minnesota, which we've seen over, the incidents that have happened recently. But I grew up in Minnesota, and I ended up going to school at Howard University, as we talked about. And then I moved on to Virginia for a number of years, stayed there in Southwest Virginia, not far from Virginia Tech, got my master's at Virginia Tech. And then went on to move to Nashville about 5 years ago to work as the director of corporate communications for a national healthcare company. Okay. So my life has been a series of moving parts. I would say I've lived the most time in Virginia, but now I'm a Nashvilleian. So I consider myself that. So wherever I am and I've planted my roots, that's where I am in the moment. And I've really been blessed to be here and connect with so many amazing people, in Nashville so far.
Great. So tell us, what's the one thing about Nashville that when people, obviously people are surprised. I grew up in Detroit. I remember my cousin saying, y'all got cars in Tennessee? What do you think we're going to try to get around in? But they were younger, so I forgave them. But what's the one thing about Nashville that you would tell other people that really draws you here or keeps you here, or that you really like about Nashville?
Oh, I just feel like there's a lot of innovation here. People are starting things. People are doing things. Yeah. And I just love the fact that I can come to a city where there are movers and shakers. And I've met, I don't even know how Sherelle and I met. We were out someplace and we just connected. It was an event. We connected and I was like, hey girl, you're doing some great things. How can I connect with you? And I've met, since being here, I've been able to connect with some mighty people who are innovating, who are creating, who are creators, you know, just what you guys are doing here today. And to be able to be in a city that people can thrive and do that, particularly among the African-American community, I think it is a blessing. And so that is one of the things that I really love about being here. But let me tell you one thing I don't love. Y'all didn't prepare me for the tornadoes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about that. So my first morning, I wake up and I hear these sirens going off. I'm like, what is going on? Come to realize I'm in the midst of a tornado. So that is one thing. I said, nobody prepared me for the Nashville tornadoes. I thought I was just coming here. It was going to be warm weather, great people, good food, barbecue, you know, all of those kind of great things. But then that one little caveat in there was those tornadoes. So now I got 4 apps on my cell phone, y'all, every time. So I got 4 apps to go on. When something's going on, I got a whole plan.
Yeah, I don't know where, I mean, these tornadoes, and they have kind of been here, but they've gotten worse over the years. I know, you know, a lot of people don't believe in climate change and all that stuff, but, you know, I would say it has to do something with that. I remember the first big one, I think it was 96, and it wiped out East Nashville. I think East Nashville is what it is today because of that tornado, and it, you know, decimated so many homes. So you had a lot of new builds and renovations and what have you over there. But downtown, you saw windows blown out of buildings. They were boarded up out of just about all the buildings.
Wow.
I was at one of the banks on 8th Avenue, which just got hit again by the tornado this time last year. And we went in the vault for that tornado. But prior to that, and I moved here in 91. So prior to that, I don't recall any tornadoes, nor had I even heard of any. But yeah, here lately, we've been, year after year now. So
yes,
it's tough.
I was not anticipating that, you know, but I'm prepared now. I got my emergency plan in place. And so, you know, but the greatness of the city certainly overshadows anything that you could possibly go through. So the people, the food, the culture, the innovation, the creation, you know, the creative minds that are in this space certainly make up for that.
Right. And the people, the helping and philanthropic aspect of the city. And you really see that when tragedies like the tornado occur.
People came together.
Yeah, people come from all over Middle Tennessee to, you know, with their saws and whatever they can to help each other out. So that,
and not just that either, Lee, but just in general, people are extremely helpful. I think about like how I navigated here, and it was through that aspect of help and just the genuine love and the feeling that people care, you know?
Yeah.
Which is
very true.
Yeah. Well, that's our Nashville commercial.
Yeah.
For those of you across this country and across the world that haven't been to Nashville, now you know why you should come at least visit.
And you know, I've actually started liking a little bit of country music. I did not anticipate that. The live country music, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It's opened my horizons to different music, live music. Oh my goodness. There's so much juiciness to Nashville. So come on down. Not from Nashville, come visit us.
Yeah, Chris Stapleton is in my playlist. So.
There it is. So Joy, tell us a little bit more just about you and like what inspires you. We love the fact that you have such an amazing personality in spite of everything that's going on. When you think about and just being able to trace that inspiration, where did it derive or where did it come from?
You know, I think ever since I was a little girl, I was like one of those nosy people. And I love to hear people's stories. I was the kid who would sit around the adult table and they'd be like, y'all know Joy's over here. And I would just listen. And I became so fascinated with people's stories. And ultimately, I think that's what led me to journalism and even led me to my talk show and even led me to becoming a media coach, because there's something so powerful in hearing somebody's story. It's like a life map. It's like a lesson book. And so what really inspires me is really being able to share other people's stories. And that has been like the catalyst of my whole life. I would be the kind of person sit next to you on the airplane. You didn't tell all your business. By the time you got off the plane, my mom and dad would go, who did you meet now? I said, well, did you know this man, he was supposed to go to jail, but he didn't. He became a lawyer and he did such and such. And those things really fascinated me. And so through the years, I've just found that if I can be, a platform or a catalyst for people to share their stories and their journeys, that can really be life-changing for so many people. And even as being a media coach, one of the things I shifted to is helping people to launch their own shows. Why? Because people can share their stories. And the more we can share our stories, the more life lessons we can share, the more we can learn from each other. Because so many times, everybody has a story, and so many times we keep that hidden. But when we share it, we connect, we relate, we believe. When you hear somebody over here did it, you're like, well, heck, I can do it.
That's
and
right.
that has been my story of my life. So if you ask my mama, she will say Joy was always listening. She was always asking a bunch of questions, and she wanted to know your story.
That's good.
So Joy, I meet people from time to time that are afraid to speak publicly. You're a media coach, you talk show host. What do you tell people, or what would you tell a person that's afraid to speak publicly?
Everybody is afraid to speak publicly.
Okay.
I'll tell you. So I think the first thing I would tell them is know that you're not alone. Even when I did the news, let me tell y'all, there will be days. I remember when I first started, I was like a deer in headlights. And I remember the first time I anchored a show, I'm out walking around and this guy comes up to me and he says, you were so nervous. I was so nervous for you. I thought you was going to pass out doing the news. And even on my very first live shot, my news director came up to me and he said, Joy, you're going to have to change your whole personality. You are scaring the viewers. You're overstimulated. You got too much going on. So I feel that everybody has that. And it's a matter of practice. If you look at the Joy Sutton who started as a reporter, I was so green. I'm surprised they put me on the air. And like I said, I was like a deer in headlights. And I remember even when I anchored, I would have this saying where I go, God, make my natural supernatural. When people see it, don't let them see all the mistakes. Let them see the greatness that's there. Let them see it greater than what it even is. And what ended up happening for me, and the message I would tell people, is just be yourself. When you are yourself, people will love you just the way you are. And then I think what happens is a lot of people come in thinking, I've got to be perfect. I got to say this word perfect. I've got to do this exactly a certain way. But what I have found when it comes to media is people are looking for genuine people who are authentic. And if you come across authentic and you are genuine, the rest will come. It just comes through practice. And even once I had my talk show and I was doing it, I remember my old assignment editor, there was a girl who was interning on my show. And he said, Joy didn't used to be that good. And I said, well, I said, wait, first of all, was that a dig? But then I realized that the beginner of anything, the expert at anything, was always a beginner. Yes. You're not going to start out being great. It's about repetition. The more interviews you do, the more you do it, you get more and more comfortable. It's practice. But more than anything, Lee, I would say the most important tip is to be you. Don't strive for perfection, strive for authenticity. And when you are authentic, people relate to you. I remember reading the news, and I filled in for somebody when I was anchoring the morning show, and she used to read the news perfectly, never messed up. I came in, I was one of those people, I said, what did that teleprompter say? Oh, Lord, we're going to have to make up that word. I don't know what that is. I had those moments. And I remember thinking like, oh my goodness, she was an excellent, she never messed up. And I messed up numerous times, but people didn't care. In fact, somebody wrote in and said, I've never met a person who could change the quality of my day just by listening to them to the news.
Oh, wow.
And that to me was like, wow, here all this time, I was focused on perfection, but all that person wanted was authenticity, heart, and genuineness. And it changed the course of her day. And so I would say to anybody out there who wants to get into public speaking, who wants to do media, start somewhere. If the girl who was a deer in headlights, I was reading like this, hello, 5 people were killed today, and we gonna have I wouldn't say we gonna have proper, but 5 people were killed today, and now we're gonna have the latest on the news. And I'm a deer in headlights like this, to being natural and comfortable to do an interview with you where I'm just Joy. You're getting what you get. And so that's what I would say to people.
I love that. Joy, let me ask you. So you hit on a great point, which is just be your authentic self and tell your story. Why do you feel that people often hesitate or just delay sharing their own truth?
I think people are afraid they're going to be judged, and they are worried about what other people will think. And so many times we make it up in our mind that we're the only person who experienced it this way, that went through it like this, and nobody's going to understand. And that feeling of worriness, of being worried about what other people are going to think and how we're going to be perceived, keeps so many people from sharing their story. But if we can get past that, if we can get to the past of it's not about what people think, it's about the transformation that can happen for people by hearing your story. So I often think it's that we're scared. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to put ourselves out there. I was talking to someone just the other day and she's like, oh my God, I don't want to post on social media. I don't want to say anything. I don't want people to see me. And I'm like, girl, we got to get visible. Because we can't say that we want greater things in our lives. We can't say we want to go to the next level and we're not willing to share our story. It's just, you have to share their stories. If you look at Oprah, we know her story. If you look at, most of the people who've made it successful, Lisa Nichols, we know her story where she, had a diaper and that was all she could afford. She had to put a cloth diaper on her child and couldn't afford to pay for diapers. And that led her to be the mogul she is today. People connect with stories.
Yes.
People want to know who you are, and it's the story that connects you.
Do you feel that people connect with stories more so than the expertise?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I can tell you that I know a thing all day long, but when I've lived it, it's a whole different story. So when someone comes to you and they say, let me just say like this, like if somebody's telling me, hey, I want you to get in shape, but you have never been overweight. You don't know my struggle. You don't know any of that. It's hard for me to relate. I'm gonna get some advice. But when I see that woman who says, I've been where you've been, I felt like you felt, I went through this and I can help pull you along. There's something that connects you on a deeper level. People want to know your why.
That's right.
People connect to the why of a thing. So when people can tap into your why you're doing something, your story, it changes the whole trajectory. So when someone is looking to work with me as a media coach, they're like, well, how would she know? She's great on camera. But when I say, girl, I was a deer in headlights, people said I was scaring the viewers. I know what that is like, where your eyes don't blink and you're standing live on a live shot or in front of the camera. But look at where I am today. And I can help you to get there through practice, listening, and expertise. So there's something so powerful in that just connects us.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, that's powerful. Wow.
It really is. So tell us about any just self-limiting beliefs when you think about like the joy at that point in time when you were the deer in the headlights and you just kind of wore that. What were those beliefs and then how did you overcome them?
It was like, am I enough? And it's crazy because in that moment, how could you be on TV and people are looking up to you like, oh, you're Joy from TV? Because that's how people perceived it during that time. People on TV were like mini celebrities in their cities. And here I was wondering if I am enough. Am I good enough? Am I talented enough? Am I enough to be here? What are people going to think? And that self-limiting belief was so consuming at times. Like I said, I had to come up with a prayer like, Lord, help my natural to be supernatural, so I had to. So what I would say I did during those times is I began to tap into who I was, that no matter what I did, I was already great on the inside. I was already talented. It just needed to be honed. The gift was already there. Let me just say that. The gift is already there. It just needs to be worked on. It just needs to be honed. So this Joy Sutton that how I got to where I am today, that joy was already there. She just didn't see it. And in the moment, she didn't always believe it. She questioned it. And when you begin to question yourself, so many people talk themselves out of greatness because they wonder if I am enough. And truth be told, there are times I still go through it today. I'm like, oh my God, am I enough? But then I stop myself and I say, girl, God has called us for such a time as this. You have a powerful story. Be yourself. And the people that you are meant to be attracted to, or the people that you're supposed to help, they will be attracted to your message and your mission. And so to go forward in that. So if there was anything I would say to other women is that we often struggle with imposter syndrome. Am I enough? All of those things are so normal, but it's not about feeling those things. It's like when you feel those things, do it in spite of. Even if you don't feel like you're enough, get up and do it anyway.
Get up and do it anyway. That's
do
right.
It anyway. because that is where you start to see the change, the impact. And once you get in, you go, oh, okay, well, so I think it comes in the doing. But that is a huge self-limiting belief that I still struggle with, even today. I have to remind myself I am enough for what I've been called to do, and everything I need is already inside of me, and that I just have to continue to hone it and connect with the right people. And at the right time, the doors will open in my life that are supposed to open.
Wow, it's fascinating. So talk about, before we go to break, talk about the transition from TV media to corporate communications. So often, we find ourselves where we have to make this. Of course, the term last year was pivot, but it's a pivot. It's a transition. It's a lot of times unexpected. I don't know what your story is, but talk about that and how you made that transition, because it sounded like you landed on your feet.
Yes, it was not an easy transition. So let me tell you, I was, at the station at that time. This was before I had my talk show. So this is before I left. And I was at the TV station, and I had always determined in my mind I would never leave TV. I said, I will never do anything besides TV. And somebody came along. I was doing health reporting, and they recruited me, and they said, we want you to come work for us. And I said, nah, it's not going to happen. How much y'all paying? Let me think. Let me think about this for a minute. And so I ended up thinking, you know what, Joy? You've always done TV. What if you could do something else? And here you have somebody who sees the talent in you, who's recruiting you. So I made the decision at that point, but it wasn't easy. Let me tell you something. I remember thinking I was going to go into my news director and say, hey, I'm leaving, and that would be it. I went into my news director and said I was leaving, and she said at the time, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. You are meant to be on TV, basically. Someday you are going to be big. In fact, we were getting ready to make you a main anchor. What do we need to do to make you stay? And in that moment, I'm like, wait, what? So I go back to the other company, and I'm like, I can't go. I'm staying. So I did that back and forth, flip-flop back and forth for a couple of times. And then I really got clear. I took a whole day off, and I prayed, and I was like, God, what do you want me to do? I always felt that I was meant to be on TV, but I'm getting this other opportunity. What you want me to do? And the answer that I felt that I got at that time was to stay was fear. To go was faith. Fear was saying, if I leave, I'll never be on TV again. I'll never have my dreams. I'll never be who I thought I was going to be. Faith was not knowing the next step, but knowing that there's possibilities. And guess what? You don't know how it's all going to work out, because it was when I left that I actually ended up getting my talk show and coming back to the same station with a show by my name.
Wow.
Come on, somebody. So leaving, I made that transition, but it was a very difficult transition. Once I went there, I always thought that TV was really hard. It has no comparison to corporate America. My eye twitched for a month. I went to my boss. I said, I've never been worked this hard in my entire life. I said, my eye is twitching. I said, I'm having to listen to smooth jazz on the way to work. Like I'm listening. Okay, I got the smooth jazz going on. My eye is twitching. And my boss said to me at the time, she says, I know you think this is a lot, but there will come a time where you will be able to work at this capacity and it won't faze you. Eventually, I got to the place that I was able to multitask, because as a reporter, you have a story and maybe a couple other things during the day. I had like 10 things coming at me all the time. And I was like juggling. And so I got to the point after some time that it became normal, that I learned to work at that level. But the transition was not easy. It was a learning curve, but it was something that I was able to adapt to over time. And I've really surprised myself. I said, oh, I can do PR now. Now I'm on they call it the dark side. They're like, you on the dark side. When you transition from TV to public relations, they're like, you're on the dark side. But now I have an appreciation for journalism, and I have an appreciation for public relations and seeing how they work together. And so I could not have asked for to have made a better decision. It was the best decision at the time. I wouldn't have gotten to Nashville, and now I've been able to relaunch my show. And I also host a show for the company I work with called Addiction Talk, and it's a live show. And just this week, I got to interview the The Bachelor from the 20th season of The Bachelor from ABC, and it made it in People Magazine and E! News Online and Entertainment Tonight.
Wow.
So, God, come on. So here, if I would have stayed in that place thinking, if I leave what I'm comfortable with, if I leave what I know, that I'll never achieve what I want. But no, it was in the faith. It was in the leaving and learning something new, that the doors have opened and the opportunities, y'all, we don't even know what's about to happen yet. So
yes.
I believe this is a year of open doors. So I'm like walking through them. Come on.
All right.
I love that.
You do your thing.
Flight.
That is phenomenal.
Yes. So we're going to take a break. This has been just phenomenal, Joy. We'll bring you up in just a second. And
you do have some shout outs. I'll just give you a couple of them. Heather Brooks, she loves all that joy and that question, what is your why? Laurinette Sweeney Ford, who's one of our regulars. She's same thing. Yes. Why? She's got a couple other comments. OG Free Money, Daryl Freeman is tuning in, and Melanie Huber. So just a bunch of people are being inspired right now. So thank you for this first half. Come
on with it. I'm excited. I'm ready for the second half. I'm ready for y'all. Whatever y'all got.
All right, get some water.
Okay.
Okay, so Lee hasn't seen this yet, but we would love your feedback on this infomercial that we have been working on as a promo. So this will be our break for the first half. So let me cue it up for a minute, and then you guys give us some feedback on it. Okay, and then as I prepare this was actually done by Mr. Mark Jackson with Above the Mark Productions.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Listen, we are just so excited. We wanted to take some time to just share with you a little bit about Women with Grit. What is
Oh no, can you see it?
No, it went dark.
Hey, and thank you so much for joining us today. Listen, we are just so excited. We wanted to take some time to just share with you a little bit about Women with Grit. What is the story behind it? How did we get started with it? You know, I've got partner in crime here, Lee Willette.
Hey, what's going on?
And I'm Sherelle Lands, and we're just so excited about this concept called Women with Grit, where we interview just exceptional women within the community and around the world who are doing phenomenal things. So how do we get started with this concept, Lee?
Well, I think ultimately it was a reaction to COVID. We were literally working on a different concept that involved women and really helping women have the opportunities to progress in their careers, and we're really putting something together to do that. And we had all these people lined up to interview and get information from, and COVID happened. And so
it changed life for everyone.
It did, and so for us, we were talking one day, and so we were talking about what we're doing, and I said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, and I'm thinking about doing this, and you said, oh, okay, let's do it. And so Women with Grit.
There it is. Big on execution, we make it happen.
Yes, so it's been exciting.
Yes, it has. We've had just phenomenal guests even over the last year, and looking forward to all that's coming ahead. So how can they reach us?
They can reach us on YouTube, Exceptional Women with Grit. You can subscribe to our page. You can check out our Facebook page, Women with Grit, or you can go to our website, womenwithgrit.com.
That's it.
And the best way to catch us is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, when Sherelle and I are live with our guests. And literally, I think the most exciting thing for me is what we talked about. We wanted to have a program that addressed that brought in women from around the world. So that's our globe here. We literally interviewed people in Bogota, Colombia, over in London, and then all over the United States as well. So that's been exciting. That's one of the benefits of COVID. Everybody's now used to this virtual world, and nobody feels like they have to fly in to be live in the studio.
That's right. So hopefully you will join us live or catch the replay, right?
Replays, that's right. We have a bunch of replays, and I mean, if I were you, I would binge listen.
That's right.
People binge watch on Netflix, binge listen, and watch Women with Grit. There have been some phenomenal interviews and some phenomenal tips that will help anyone. We have men and women that watch, right. And I think the tips that you get, the things that you learn from these women that are our guests will help anyone advance their careers, advance their lives, and just really live a full life and a happy life. And I think that's exciting.
Yes, I would agree 100%. So if you're interested, definitely join us, follow us, engage with us, like us, share it, all of those things. And if you know a phenomenal woman or a woman with grit that you would recommend being on the show, be sure that you write us on any one of those forums and a member of our team will get back to you.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you have a product or service, a company that you want to promote or a cause, give us a shout. We're happy to do that. There's a cost. But it's not much, not yet. So you better get in while it's cheap.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. And so far, we'll see you online.
Talk to you later. Peace.
Bye.
So what'd you
That was
think?
cool. I like it. Wow. What a surprise.
Yes, Mark did that. Above the Mark Production. Yeah. So I'll make sure that I leave his website in there. He did a good job.
He did. Mark's phenomenal. Yep. Made me look a little younger, a little thinner.
I wanted to go with the other take. I still feel like I look like a kid. You saw what I was talking about, the difference?
Yeah.
I just sit on pillows, guys. I'm actually short torso. We joke about that, but you got a chance to see that. Anyway.
But great job, Mark. Shout out to Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
Phenomenal work as always. That's all we would expect from Mark.
All right, so let's bring Joy back up.
All right.
And first of all, I just want to say shout out to the short people. Because I myself am short, but they say amazing things. Good things come in small packages.
All right.
Well, don't feel bad. I have to sit on, books and stuff as well. So no shame in your game. And I always said, hey, being short, I can date tall men and short men. I don't have to discriminate. Never have to worry about that.
my legs are long, Joy. But it's the funny thing is that when I sit at like regular tables, I kind of sink down because I'm short here, but I'm long in terms of my legs.
Well, we still cousins in some way. We have short characteristics.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Just be confident in who you are and be thankful that you are who you are.
That's right.
God made you that way. So I see a comment from Mark. So Mark must be cool with the video.
Yes.
We do think, Joy? I don't know. Were you able to see it?
I did. I just love that you guys moved forward and decided to do something great. And I've seen the lineup of women. I said, come on, somebody. Just the caliber of women that you're bringing on. Many of them I've met before or know. So I think that's just a testament to what you're doing, because who you're able to attract to come on the show, I think, is a significant indicator of the quality of what you're trying to produce and what you're trying to bring out into the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the things we want to do is just to be able to show that a lot of times people say they can't find people. I can't find any women to do this, or I can't find any people of color that do this. Well, you just go back and look through our catalog and you'll find whatever you're looking for to do whatever. And they're just so, we can't even, there's so many women that are just doing amazing things that we can't, we literally, I don't know how many years it would take for us to get through everybody. And there's always somebody new or someone that you didn't know about. So it's phenomenal.
I love it. And so I'm just honored to be a part of the women that you're featuring, because like I said, I feel like you're bringing these women to the limelight and giving them an opportunity to share their stories, which I said before is so important, because it's how we connect to one another often is through our stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So what is Joy Sutton? What do you like to do in your free time?
Ooh-wee. Well, there are a lot of things that I like to do for fun. I like bowling. I like all kind of activities like that. But I also have to admit that I'm a reality TV love star. I'm watching Married to Medicine. I don't watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I also love love shows, like all of the love shows, Ready to Love, all of that. That's something I binge on, because maybe I feel like you can also learn a lot from reality TV. So that is one thing that I enjoy. As I mentioned, I like to bowl. I'm not into the hiking yet, but I do like to experience some parts of the outdoors because I think there's so many things in nature that are wonderful. I love spending time with girlfriends. There is nothing like sister girl time. For my 40th birthday, I actually got together 8 of my best friends and we rented out a house on the beach.
Okay.
It was the best time. They didn't all know each other. They were from all different seasons of my life. And that was so great to me. So I love connection and meeting and connecting with people. I love good food. So I love to go out to eat and to go to good restaurants. I'm learning to cook. It's not my expertise. I'm learning to be a better cook. So that's something I'm also enjoy doing. And I also love to read. Now, when it comes to reading, I love historical fiction. And I think that goes back to my storytelling of loving to hear people's stories, because I think like when I read The Other Boleyn Sister or The Other Boleyn Girl, and it was taking you back to history and being able to understand, and then it makes me go research. So I just like a variety of things, and I feel like I'm still learning myself and being here in Nashville. I also like to salsa dance. I'm not the best dancer, but I love dancing as well because there's something really freeing about being able to just express yourself through dance.
Okay. All right.
Love that. Okay, so I want to make sure we get Tabitha's question. Tabitha has a question for you, Joy. She says, "Where do you see the future Joy in the next 5 to 10 years?"
Well, first of all, let me give a shout out to Tab because she's a phenomenal woman. And if y'all had her on the show, she is a mover and shaker in the Nashville area. So the fact that she even tuned in, I'm like, thank you, Tab, because what her and her husband, Josh, have done is amazing. So just wanted to give a shout out to her. But in the next 5 to 10 years, I really see myself continuing to grow my show, which I'm really excited about. I see it also expanding back into television. I don't think my days of TV are done. I think that this is just the beginning. So I see other TV ventures. I also see me hosting more shows. I don't see me just hosting the Joy Sutton Show. I want to host a variety of shows. And I also want to help more women and more people to get their talk shows on the air. So I see me also being a producer and getting in there. And in the next 5 to 10 years, I can say, I helped launch that show. I helped launch that show or this show. So I also see me kind of going behind the scenes. But I'm really trying to be fluid because if there's one thing I learned about life, it rarely turns out the way you anticipated. If you told me I would have been in Nashville, Tennessee at this time doing this, I would not have believed you if you told the 10 years, even 10 years ago. But you know what I always say is God trumps your best plan. So you have to be fluid. I think you have to have a goal, but be fluid because you never know how it's going to come and the doors that are going to open. But what I do know is that I'm meant to give a message to the world, and I'm meant to inspire women to be their best selves, and I'm meant to bring more positive content to the airwaves. And so how all that pans out in the next 5 to 10 years, we will see how it comes about, but I'm excited about the future, and I'll have some exciting news to share in coming weeks. I can't share everything right now, but I do have some exciting news coming not too far in the future.
Okay. All right. So had you been to Nashville before you were recruited to come here?
Actually, I had. My sister went to Tennessee State. Come on, Tennessee State, another historically Black college. And I used to come here for holidays and to visit once she went to TSU. And then my mom moved down here to help her with twins. And I said, you know what? I've never lived in the same city as my family. I never lived there for from the time I was 20 to 40. I never lived in the same city as my family. And this was an opportunity to come back and have those Sunday dinners together. Y'all know what I'm talking about, where your mama cooks some good food. You have your Sunday dinners, and then my nieces and nephews get to come over. And I get to do slumber parties. And so this was really a chance to be close and connected with my family. But I also love the culture and all that Nashville has to offer. And many movers and shakers in the industry are coming here and are launching programs and are already here doing great things.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, the growth here is phenomenal. It's
you got to get your house now. I came here not planning to buy a house, right? Initially, because I already had a house back in Virginia, but I said, this property here, if you're not in the home buying process, that is something to definitely consider, because Nashville is growing so fast that people really, really are moving here by the droves. So I just put an offer down on a house on Saturday. So I'm about to I'm making my investment clear in the Nashville metro area that I'm invested in Nashville.
Okay, congratulations. Hope everything works out.
Thank you.
I think Tabitha and Josh have their own story of how many offers they put in before they got to a house that nobody outbidded them on. So
No, it is, we're in that time, but I think even for wealth building, a lot of times we don't look at that as an opportunity, but really it is an opportunity for investment. I think by the time I move into my house, I'll probably already have $10,000 to $20,000 worth of equity. So I think as, even as African Americans, it's important, or people of color, to really think about the opportunities for wealth building beyond just our careers. There's so many opportunities out there.
So true. So true. Any other questions out there, Sherelle?
I'm scanning really quickly as it relates to questions that we have from our audience. But what I will say is, Joy, this has definitely been phenomenal. I'm here just pecking away, taking a couple of notes so we can make sure that we recap them. But just your sheer story of grit, I think, is just exciting. Darla has a question. She says, Joy, what do you see drives you to have grit?
Ooh, and I love Darla. I'm gonna give her a shout out too. This is what I love, is when other women support other women. And Darla is one of those women that no matter what I do, she's always supporting. So I want to give a shout out to her. She also has her own show. And
hey, Darla.
So, come on, Darla, come on with it. But also I wanted to say, what drives me? I think just the passion behind the potential impact. And when people write into me, since I've been doing the show, somebody wrote into me and said for the first time they went to therapy because of my show. Wow. And I was like, wow. Or people came to me and said, I'm considering a new career path because of your show. Or people say, this is changing my life. Those kind of things in the midst of everything also inspire me to move forward. And I often just save those, because sometimes you can get busy in the day-to-day that you forget about just the significance of the impact you're making. And so when I know that I'm changing lives and I'm making an impact, and people write in and tell me that grit, that gives me just that extra little push to say, keep going. Mm-hmm. Somebody needs this. Somebody needs you. You are important, you are valuable, and you are needed at this time to be a difference in your community.
That's right. You were making an impact, because when you get a chance to go back and just thumb through some of the comments, I mean, your story is definitely resonating.
And hey, Katrina from Charleston, South Carolina, who's tuning in, and Heather Brooks from Loganville, Georgia. Thank you all for tuning in. And you have people from all over the place tuning in just to hear you today, Joy.
First of all, just to thank those who tuned in to hear my story, because there are so many things you could be doing today. And just to know that I have a tribe of women around me, or even men, who believe in what I'm trying to inspire in others, just really means the world to me. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, all of those who tuned in tonight to hear my story. It really means the world to me. And if something I said impacted you in some kind of way, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message. I'm on Instagram, The Joy Sutton Show. You can find me. And I'd love to hear if there's something that touched your heart tonight.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Please reach out to Joy. It's at The Joy Sutton Show.
Yep. The Joy Sutton Show.
On IG. Are you on Facebook or?
I'm on LinkedIn under Joy Sutton. Okay. On Facebook, I'm Joy Sutton LG. People go, what's the LG for? Well, it used to be my TV station letter, so I couldn't get rid of the LG. For some reason, Facebook is acting funny. So I'm Joy Sutton LG, and I also have the Joy Sutton Show on Instagram and on Facebook. So you can connect with me anyway. I always respond to messages because I'm here to help, I'm here to serve, and I'm here to inspire you to be the best version of you.
And so what's the, I guess what are the characteristics of your show? What's the Joy Sutton Show about? Why will people want to tune in?
Right. So the Joy Sutton Show is actually where I was at one point in my life when I talked about being stuck. My show is for the woman who's at the midpoint of her life, who finds that she's stuck or she's plateaued. She knows that there's something greater for her, but she's not sure how to go after it or what her next step is. So my show is really, every show you hear from a woman, her plan, how she got there, but you also hear from a coach or a therapist about the limiting beliefs, as Sherelle talked about earlier, that keep us back from going after our dreams. So my goal with this show is that when you leave, you're inspired. It stirs something up on the inside of you that says, maybe I can do that too. Maybe I can go after my dream, and I can start to look at the things that are holding me back so that they no longer inhibit my future because I know I'm destined for greatness. So if you know, this is a movement of women who are ready to own your shine. So if you know you ready to own your shine, you've been playing small, you've been, not living up to everything that you've wanted to do, and this is your time, that is who this show is for.
Wow, phenomenal. Okay. And we can watch it on, you said YouTube and Facebook?
Well, right now it's just a podcast. So
okay,
you can watch it wherever it's on Pandora, it's on iHeart, it's on Google Play, Apple Podcast. So everywhere that you can listen to podcasts is there. But this season, coming back, I'm getting ready to launch season 2 in May, and there may be a switcheroo to video. So we might be on YouTube as well, because I do miss that visual component.
Yes. Yeah.
As well. So I have been looking at that for the next year.
We've talked, Sherelle and I have talked back and forth about just the audio, and there's something about the video, especially in these type of conversations we're having, really to be able to engage and to talk to people. It's just exciting to me. That's the type of person I am. So
yeah, it's hard because, I never thought that I could love audio as much as I did. But I found that sometimes, and this is where I've had the little hang up, that people get really vulnerable when you can't see their face. Like they tend to open up sometimes a little bit more. And I found that. And then everybody used to always say, Joy, you have the sultry Joy Sutton voice. And when people can't see me and they can just hear my voice, that's been an interesting thing to hear people say how they can be captivated. The sultry Joy Sutton.
All right.
Yeah. That's
I don't have it.
But
I don't have that type
the
of voice.
video, you can see the face, you can see the expression, you can feel like I know you. I know when people see you and Sherelle, they're probably like, they feel like they know you because you're almost like a part of them because they can see your face. So I do think the video has a powerful impact as well. So I'm trying to be on all mediums, so you don't have to limit yourself.
All right. Say that. Well, make sure you let us know when you launch season 2, and we'll shout you out to our people.
Okay, I will do that. Certainly, definitely.
That's right. And Joy, so tell us just a couple of nuggets that our audience can take away. What are just some quick hits that you could leave with them?
Well, if I were to say my top 3, I would say number 1, you are enough just as you are. Start somewhere. As I said earlier, the expert was always a beginner. Nobody starts out amazing. Everybody starts somewhere. So just remember you are enough, get started where you are and move forward in that. And as you keep doing it, one day people will look at you and be like, wow, how does she do that? So it's just remembering that. Number 2, I would say, don't get caught up in the vehicle and how it's going to happen. Expect unexpected blessings because you don't know the doors that are going to open. And sometimes we get so focused on how we think it should be that we're not open to how it can be. So I just encourage people to be open. Don't get so stuck. Don't be so rigid. Be open to pivoting, because as you see in my story, it was in those pivots. It was in the times that I did things that I didn't anticipate that I found the greatest blessing. So be open and willing to pivot. And finally, I would say surround yourself with a tribe of people who encourage you and support you. Because no matter what you do, life is going to get hard. And things happen and we go through things. But if you surround yourself with a tribe of women, you always have somebody that when you fall down, they come back to you and they say, girl, get on back up. So make sure you surround yourself with people who are winners and encourage you and support you. And finally, even to that point, somebody always said you're the sum of the circle of the people around you. And I really believe that, because even when I said I did not plan to initially buy a house, I went with somebody else to go looking for their house, to help them find their house. And in that, I found my house. Come on, somebody. That's a message right there. So when you surround yourself and connect yourself with people who are doing things, often you don't even know that you end up being inspired to go after your own. So this is my message for you tonight to all of the people who are listening. I'm grateful that you listened to my story, and I hope that you'll check out the Joy Sutton Show.
Yeah, sure.
Be sure to do that. And I want to make sure that I drop it in the chat. Can you give it to me one more time so I can leave it for our viewers?
Yeah, so they could just go to thejoysutton.com and they can find all about the podcast and what we're doing and all of the services I provide. That's a great place to start.
All right. All right. So Sherelle, you have your wrap up ready?
I do. You know I do.
Right. Everybody get out your notepad. Just in case you're so captivated by the the conversation and you forgot to take your notes, Sherelle's going to give you the cliff notes.
I'm going to give you the cliff notes, but we still want you to go back and catch the replay because it's nothing like getting it directly and authentically from Joy herself. So some of the key things that she talked about was one, just be you. Just be your authentic, beautiful self. Practice and also just recognize that you are enough. Stop worrying about how other people think and just be comfortable sharing your story. People are looking to connect with other human beings and recognize that even in the area of media, that sharing your story goes far greater than just speaking from a place of expertise. People connect more with the stories than they do just the expertise. The gift is already inside of you. It just needs to be cultivated. So recognize that you have everything that you need to begin right where you are. To stay sometimes is oftentimes just staying in fear. What do you need to press forward to move in faith? What is that extra oomph that you need to get you going so that you are not stuck? You are enough just where you are. So get started where you are. Don't get caught up in the vehicle. Expect the unexpected blessings along the way and be willing to change, be willing to shift, be willing to adjust. And lastly, or finally, surround yourself with a tribe of people who believe in you, who are willing to cheerlead your success, to get behind you and to just push you forward into this next dimension, because this is your time. This is your now. And so with that, I thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much. Girl, you inspired me after listening to my own wisdom. I said, I'm inspired. That was more you. Somebody else say it back to you, but thank you so much, Sherelle and Lee, for having me on the show. It's been an absolute joy, and I love what you're doing, and I will continue to support you, and I'm honored that you chose me to be on this episode.
Well, thank you, Joy, for joining us. It's been great to meet you and to really get to know more about you in such a short period of time. I know great things are ahead for you, and look forward to just seeing what God has for you. So keep on doing your thing, and we'll keep on watching.
That's right. And pushing and whatever we can do to help support along the way as well. Yeah. We thank you again for being on the show and being our guest as a woman with grit. And for all of your viewers, please check out her show. Please follow her, the Joy Sutton show.com. Did I get that right?
No, The Joy Sutton is the website, thejoysutton.com. But they can just search, even if you put in Google Joy Sutton Show, you're going to find me. So don't worry. Just
she
go
can't hide.
Joy Sutton Show, you're going to find me.
Yeah, Joy can't hide from you.
You can't hide. You'll find it. You'll find it.
Hey, everybody. And also make sure you share with your friends. Anyone that missed this evening's show, make sure you have them go to our YouTube page, the Women with Grit YouTube page, or of course, come to the Facebook page or our website just to catch our replay of Miss Joy Sutton today. And as well as I know, they're going to be inspired and they're going to love you for it. So make sure you let your friends know and share. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. Thank you to our sponsors, MJC Insurance, Millette Investment Services, and Vision Strategy Management, SherelleLands.com.
Awesome. Have a good night. Next week, we'll be here, same time, same place, with another phenomenal woman, another woman of grit. Dr. Willis is actually up next week.
All right.
Good night.
Everyone have a good evening.